Hello, how's it going this week, Peter?
I'm doing a lot better than I was doing last week.
Yeah, no karaoke plans.
No karaoke plans for me. Yeah, feeling like that was feeling a lot more recovered from where I was last weekend.
Recovered. I wonder how's your head feeling after the camping trip because you were really dipping into Dave's.
Yeah, Dave had some pretty intense moonshine going.
Yeah, he told me he got that from Bucharest. That's
Yeah?
one of the places he's been, and he had that bottle. And they don't play around in the Carpathians
That's
with their
right, okay.
their moonshine.
Well, hey everyone, we'll catch you up to speed on what we're talking about. Flora and I this weekend went out with two of the local park rangers, and we camped out not too deep, but a little bit into the Idlewood Wilderness,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just kind of had a fun time together. Yeah.
We did. As Dave and Willy, they're always a good time. Different kinds of guys,
For sure.
You're never going to meet someone, especially Willy. You're never going to meet someone quite like Willy. What was your impression of Willy?
He certainly was a little different, a little bit of a different kind of a guy, but he, yeah, well, I can tell everyone here a little bit about kind of his backstory, where he comes from, that sort of stuff. So it sounds like he began his adult life working at an anarchist bookstore in New York or something like that, or as they call them, info shops or something like that. He then ended up becoming like a bull rider in like the west of the country and working on cow farms and stuff like that, traveling all around. He worked a little bit as it sounded like he bounced around doing all sorts of bohemian stuff, and I know for a little while he worked at a casino training the tic-tac-toe chicken, which I guess is, have you ever heard of that? I guess you've talked to him.
Yeah, the casino with the chicken who can play tic-tac-toe.
He was the caretaker of that for a little while.
That one stretches belief a little bit, but I've got no reason to believe Willy would lie about that sort of thing.
I guess I should take everything he says with a grain of salt, but I was so kind of infatuated with this whole story.
Yeah.
And then he moved somewhere and started an MFA program, and he got kicked out of the MFA program for his writings being a little bit too intense or something, right?
Too extreme.
Too extreme.
Well, they said it was too extreme. I just think he was being his genuine self, but maybe he should have filtered a little bit.
Yeah.
Did he read you any of his stuff, any of his work? Because he still writes.
Okay.
Maybe like 50 pages every day or something.
Wow.
He's writing a lot.
Okay.
In the wilderness, because he has a little, like a small notebook that he keeps in his pocket, and while he's walking, he's just writing, kind
Really?
of without even. He learned how to do that because he was a journalist for like 3 weeks, and they taught him how to do the shorthand in your pocket while you're walking. So he just writes all day.
Well, I guess this is a good job for him as a park ranger. And to catch everyone up to speed on what it's like for them as park rangers, I don't really understand it. It's a little bit different.
Let me explain to you, because it's not like a typical park. Their technical title is the monitors of the wilderness, and they just walk the edge. They walk the trail around the wilderness over and over again. They walk the whole trail.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to walk the trail, but at any given point they are walking it, and they are never to go into the interior of the wilderness.
That's right.
If they do, they're instantly their employment is terminated, and no one will go to help them. And in fact, anyone who goes into the interior of the Idlewood Wilderness is on their own. The rangers are specifically prohibited from going in to help them. That's why it's so important. If you stay on the white, with the white blaze on the trail, stay on the white, you'll be all right.
That's right.
Do not go off the trail. I know a few times this weekend you wanted to, and you, after a little bit of that moonshine, you were kind of daring Dave and Willy, but I'm glad we stayed on the trail.
But there's something about it out there that's calling you. Like, don't you feel that there's like something deep in those woods that you just want to explore, that you just want to get to know and engage with? I just felt like anytime sitting on the edge of it, that there seems like there's something so old about it out there. Something old and timeless and almost, I don't know. There's some quality that I couldn't help myself from wanting to go deeper into the woods. It was.
I'd resist those impulses. Yep.
Is that common for people that
I can't speak to anyone else's experience. I just know you shouldn't go in.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, I didn't mean to freak you all out.
No,
I had
not at
fun
all.
Nonetheless.
No, and Dave spoke highly of you as well.
really
And Dave
nice.
is a great guy. I've known him for a while.
He's a really cool dude.
Not quite as eccentric as Willy. Dave is just
Yeah.
very well traveled. I mean,
Exactly.
he was working on vineyards for a while. He was in New Zealand and California, South Africa, France. He was just kind of following the seasons, trying to get a sense of the world around us. And there's very few places he has not been. Very few places.
Yeah. He was a good guy to have around. I think it's going to be nice during the seasons when he's here and not working on the trail. It'll be nice to be able to hang out with him.
Yeah, because they're only in Hemlock. They're based here, but usually they're walking sort of remote parts of the trail.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they're here about half the time, I'm guessing. Something like, okay, cool. He and I had a moment where, we were kind of looking out at the beautiful stars. I mean, the sky out here is amazing. I mean, there's no pollution or light pollution or anything like that. But he and I were walking and talking. He was telling me about how he maybe had a little bit of I wouldn't say difficult time, but it took him a while to adjust to living in this town. It's a little bit different. And when he was in this town early on, someone asked him the question, "How did you fail?" And I think about that a lot, about how I came here to get away from society, quote unquote, right? And to do something a little bit different. But I do feel like, I don't know, that's an important question to ask, that I came here because of, in some ways, I have failed in what I was going for before. And it feels like a lot of people have come here to try to get a little something different. I mean, I don't know. I just feel this town's kind of filled with weirdos, or
Yeah, I mean, you haven't been here very long, so kind of a sweeping judgment to make about
I didn't mean to...
weird. Just not everyone likes to be called that.
That's a good point. I didn't mean to offend you or the town or anyone like that, but maybe people are interesting in this town. That's another way to reframe it. That's a little bit better. So yeah.
Is that your cat out here in the background?
It's my cat in the background. I'll go get him in 1 second.
Sure. Well, what were we? We're here to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I have a story. Yeah. So
You got a story?
Yeah.
Oh, from the hikers?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Do you want me to? I kind of want to share it.
Go
I
ahead,
like this being a
get
little
share, and then we can get to the movie after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and share it. I know you will anyway. So
Yeah, so all right, everyone. Well, I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to share the story that I got from a person at the pub, and I'll be back with you all in 1 sec.
Hey, Peter. I had a great time at the pizza pub the other night. Here's the story we talked about. When sabbatical finally came around, I decided I needed a change and to get out in nature. My nephew, Will, whom you met briefly, had recently completed his undergraduate studies. So we thought this would be our only chance to see the trail. First 2 weeks were great. We started at Greenfield and made our way to Kahi. Lake Tohai was as beautiful as everyone says. After Kahi, we began to trek toward Monarch. About 3 days in, came across something strange. The path split. One route was marked with the white trail flare we were familiar with, but the other had a symbol etched into a tree. Peter, it's hard to describe. It looked like a language I'd never seen. The shape of the marker was an upside-down triangle with a vertical line hanging from the bottom point. 3 smaller lines crossed that vertical line, each at maybe a 40-degree angle. Will and I looked at each other and thought, hey, what the heck? Let's follow it for an hour and see what's down here. At first, the trail wasn't anything special. Looked like what we'd been walking through for the last few days. We realized pretty quickly we were headed into the interior of the Idlewood Forest, as the trees and brush on the sides of the trail had become thick. We wouldn't have been able to go off trail without a machete. As we walked, we heard, or should I say, we felt this series of murmurs, deep, low vibrations, so deep our ears could barely register them. But we certainly felt these vibrations in our bodies. Will suggested turning back, but curiosity got the better of me and I convinced him to keep going. That's when we saw it. Something carved into a tree up ahead, a mask. It was carved so well that it almost looked alive. Human features, but exaggerated. Big, wide eyes, long, pointed nose. The expression was wild, like it had just seen something shocking and humorous. Glad we took this detour, I said. This is so cool. Look, said Will, pointing further ahead. Another face was carved into the tree. This one wore a calmer expression, and its eyes were closed. Check it out. There's a whole bunch of them. We walked forward and stepped into a glade with countless tree carvings. In this glade, there were not only masks carved into the trees, but whole-body figures carved into trunks. Bodies were stylized, exaggerated, like each tree was meant to represent a different human archetype. Some of the carvings were elegant, with elaborate detail etched into its clothing, and it felt like the trees all had their own personalities. We hypothesized that some reclusive artist lived out here in the woods, creating art with the trees just for the sake of it. The whole experience was sublime. We were in awe of whatever mad artist gallery we'd stumbled upon. We were so in awe, we failed to realize that the murmuring grew louder, more distinct. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Will moving toward the massive tree at the center of the glade. Carved into its trunk was a beautiful woman, wearing a crown. She was captivating. I'd never seen anything like her before. The carvings depicted her in an elegant dress, adorned with jewelry and decadent accessories. Her tiara was jagged and stood tall on her head. I couldn't parse out what era of fashion she was supposed to depict. It was completely unlike anything I had seen before. Her expression was melancholic, though the beauty of her sadness made you want to stare forever into her eyes. I was captivated, and Will looked as if he was in a trance as he approached her. As he drew closer, I felt that the murmuring had grown louder and more intense. The vibration began to make my stomach turn. I keeled over, nauseous. I looked up, and Will was standing face to face with her, reaching out his hand to touch her face. Something in my gut tightened. Will, don't do that. But it was too late. The murmurs turned into a rumbling. The vibrations came from all around us. Ground shook like an earthquake. My vision blurred as if I was intoxicated. Will dropped to his knees, hands over his ears as he curled up into a fetal position. Through my confusion, I grabbed his backpack and yanked him to his feet, pulled him away as fast as I could. We stumbled out of the glade. As soon as we had regained our balance, we ran. By the time we made it back to the crossroads, the murmuring was faint and far behind us. We collapsed on the ground, gasping for air. We lost track of how long we were sitting there on the ground, but eventually we stood, brushed ourselves off, and continued down the normal trail with the white flare. Now that we're in Hemlock, we're rethinking the rest of the trip. We might call it. Well, Peter, that's our story. Thanks again for the beer.
All right, what'd you think of that one?
Quite a tale, that one. Quite a yarn. Um, as was usual, I don't know if we should take it entirely seriously. A lot of the hikers out here like to take out uh, some of that Mother Nature out there,
Exactly.
you know. So smoking a doobie maybe and think they saw something, but in a fun story for sure.
Yeah.
Good little campfire tale.
That's a good way of putting it, campfire tale. But I've enjoyed talking to these hikers and spending
Yeah,
time
I
with
bet they like
them.
talking to you too.
Yeah.
You know, it's some people might think that you're a good person to talk to.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, are we ready to talk about?
The movie, that is what we're here to do, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this is technically a movie review pod.
So this week we're talking about one of my favorite
Pavane.
movies, Pavane, named after the Ravel.
Yep, Pavane for a Dead Princess.
Yeah, so a musical piece by Ravel. I know you're sort of a music person.
Get a little music in my past. Yeah.
Is Ravel someone you enjoy?
I love Ravel.
Okay.
I think the late French romantics, sometimes known as the Impressionists, but I know that a lot of them tried to throw away that label. And like Debussy and people in that world really didn't like being called that. But I think it's some of the most beautiful music ever created during that time, which is very
Well,
beautiful.
and this,
So,
this film Pavane's the first time I heard the Ravel, but I agree. Very,
Yeah,
very beautiful.
beautiful.
And why don't you set the scene for us a little bit? It's very much 3 chapters in this movie.
It's a film in 3 parts, and it's about one woman in 3 different stages of her life, kind of 10 years apart from each other.
With the Ravel piece being the connecting
Bridge.
thread.
Yeah, so it's the bridge between each piece of the film. So to start off in part 1, we see her very young, I'm guessing early 20s or something like that, and she's working, I guess, working and living and doing her life as a nun in a convent,
Yeah.
or a sister, whatever you'd call it.
I guess a
Somebody-
novice.
A novice, that's
yeah.
right. That's probably the more apt phrase. And she is not very good at it at all.
No.
And
Kind of like Maria in the beginning of Sound of Music, but kind of
Exactly.
joyless.
without the songs, without the
Yeah.
other, like the nuns are kind of horrible.
They're kind
in
of
this too.
clicky.
Yeah,
They're kind of
clicky. She can't seem to do anything right,
Mhm.
So it's a very sad, and you see her kind of going through the motions of being a sister or a nun. She works at the adjacent school as a teacher as well, and isn't very good at that either. And she just kind of seems lost in life in general.
Yeah.
So
Can't do anything right except for this one very, very beautiful, evocative scene of her. She's polishing the bells in the bell tower, and that seems to be her one respite, her one escape from the
Yeah.
dreariness. And while she's doing that, she's humming, and we don't know what it is she's humming at first, but then later we realize what it is, which
Yeah.
is the Pavane for
The
a Dead
Pavane,
Princess.
that's a song that's with her, and yeah, and then we have that moment where she's kind of intentional in what she's doing.
Mhm.
Everything is very intentional in that, and she ends up at the end of this having a love affair with one of the caretakers
Oh, yeah.
at the school, right? And I guess it's after they engage in making love with each other. She I think hears on the radio or something like
Yes.
that the Pavane song, and then we cut away. So we
Yeah.
got a glimpse of her life, of her dissatisfaction. But I do think one thing that we should mention about this part that's important is her longing
Yes.
for something more, her spiritual longing. And we see that scene in the chapel, right, where she's
When she's praying and it's just the lights are low and the
Yeah.
candles and the stained glass, and she's praying. It's almost a ecstasy of Saint Teresa sort of moment, which shows that she's what she's reaching for, and maybe she's not quite finding it, but she's still
Yeah.
looking. She's still looking
she's
for it.
looking for something. Well, we get at the end of that scene, we cut to black, and we cut 10 years later.
10 years, yeah, and in her 30s maybe at this
Yeah,
point.
that would be my guess. And in this scene, or this chapter of her life, she's working as a sex worker.
As a
She's
prostitute,
a
yes.
prostitute, yeah, and she is equally dissatisfied with this profession as well.
Yeah, in a lot of sort of similar ways. There's the one scene where she's spending some time with the other women sex workers, and they're kind of just like the nuns. They're kind of
Very
cliquey and
much so.
excluding her. Yeah,
It mirrors.
very
It
much.
rhymes in a sense, you know.
I like how it's sort of a reverse Mary Magdalene story where she
Yes, yeah.
starts as a disciple of Jesus and then becomes a prostitute. That's a nice little reversal
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
But the film does not judge her for being a prostitute. It mostly just shows that she is bored and dissatisfied. And much like the convent, she thought she was going to find something in this line of work that she ultimately has not found. And that she's going to have to keep looking. That's what we learn. And the majority of this chapter is her and this older gentleman who's a client of hers, I guess. And I wouldn't say that it's like a particularly hostile between them. They seem to get along, but there's a strange tension as well.
It's almost like she's finally asserting boundaries of what she doesn't want to participate in and doesn't want to do anymore, you know? And it's that sense that when she sets, this isn't what I want to do, he's not as friendly with her. He's
Nope.
not as engaging. You know, she thinks of her clients as her friends and not so anymore. And kind of in a mirror to the beginning scene after, I wouldn't say it's almost more of an uncomfortable scene. It's not necessarily something that makes you recoil from the TV or something, but you feel kind of icky at the end of the scene, you know,
Yeah.
you feel horrible. And again, she just hears kind of randomly on the radio the same Pavane song, Pavane for a Dead Princess by Ravel, except this time it's not the grand orchestral arrangement that we hear at the beginning of the film in the first chapter. In this chapter, it's a more quiet sort of piano arrangement of it as well.
And
So,
they've had this very, very unglamorous, unstylized sex scene. And then
exactly.
he's showering and she's in the bed, just sort of looking very despondent. And the music happens and we see that look in her eyes again, and then cut to black and another 10 years later.
Yeah, and she's a little bit older in this scene, you know, 10 years older,
Yeah.
and we see her, and this is the most dialogue-heavy part of the film, but she's with a person who she's working with, and she's almost, I wouldn't necessarily say a therapist, but more so of a healer or a spiritual mentor, right?
Yeah, she's a healer, and she's using the spiritual training, but also the sex work training to help people heal from their past sexual traumas.
Exactly.
It's this remarkable kind of synthesis.
Yes, very much so. She brought her two different extremes in life, like very intense extremes. But is it a conclusion? Or has she, that's the big question.
Well, she certainly seems to have, she's older and she's wiser,
Yeah.
and she's learned all of these things. But in a sense, I think what she's learned the most is that she's never going to stop looking. Because at the end, the client has this moment of catharsis with her while they're on this walk through this just gorgeous park.
Yeah.
There's no one else there. It's around, I think, a reservoir, and it's winter, so all the trees are bare and there's ice on the reservoir. It's very gorgeous. And the client has this moment of catharsis and they embrace, and the client is weeping, and she's just kind of looking off into the distance with this very lost look on her face, kind of the end of the movie The Graduate,
Yeah.
and she, which I feel like is a point of reference that we mention quite often.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I don't know that she is dissatisfied right now with life, but she's at a point where she realizes that she can't find the satisfaction she is looking for,
100%.
and that she'll always be looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then non-diegetically for the first time, the Ravel plays, and I think it's a new arrangement for the film because I couldn't find it anywhere else. It was this sort of very ethereal, almost like it was playing on the wind, and it plays, and just the credits roll just over her face while her client is weeping, and there's a little bit of snow starts to fall, and I'm weeping at that point
weeping too.
I'm every single time I'm crying.
Yeah.
And you're left, with no easy answers at the end, but maybe with a feeling that she is on the right path,
100%.
even if she hasn't reached the end of it.
Yeah, it's about the journey that she's on, and that's kind of where she finds, I don't know, where she can exist. So
very cool film.
It was a very cool film. I loved it deeply.
Part of me wishes we could share it with the outside world, but again, as with all the movies that we have found here, all the VHS tapes in this box in my library, doesn't appear to exist anywhere else
No.
on the internet, or you've told me it doesn't exist on the internet. I don't use the internet.
Yep.
6 years and 5 months now. I
There
have
we
not used the
go.
internet. Yeah. So, uh, yeah. On the one hand, it'd be fun to share. On the other hand, it's sort of nice to have this thing that is just
It feels like it's ours.
yeah,
You know.
just the
Yeah.
town of Hemlock. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing this movie with me that I'll carry with me through the rest of my life, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think you will.
yeah, well, I guess there's.
Well, hold on though. You're attending the Harvest Festival?
I know.
Right.
Yeah,
This coming week.
I'm kind of nervous about it. I don't really know what to expect.
Don't go in with any expectations. Just keep your ears and your eyes open, and you're sure to hear some stories and meet some people that you'll never forget.
Well, I'll have to make sure to report back next week on what the Harvest Festival
Yeah, and
looks like.
drink plenty of that good apple cider.
I've heard of that apple
Yeah.
cider. It's kind of famous. So yeah, well, can I expect you back next week for another episode with us?
I don't think so. But I'll tune in. I'll listen. See how
Okay.
it goes.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me today, and everyone. I guess it'll be a solo episode next week, without Flora here, and I'll report back about the Harvest Festival. But,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining me, and everyone have a great week.